We are kicking off with WWE, who earlier this year pulled Brock Lesnar from all plans due to his connection to the Janelle Grant lawsuit, leaving fans to wonder when, if ever, he'll be back. That speculation grew this week as Adam Pearce shared a photo of Lesnar being stretchered out of the ring with Paul Heyman, with some fans seeing this as a tease of his return. Fans theorized that Lesnar could be the fifth man for Roman Reigns' OG bloodline at Survivor Series War Games, while others suggested he may settle unfinished business with the OTC. A Lesnar return to confront Reigns would flip the War Games narrative on its head, and as one fan commented, anything is possible when it comes to Brock Lesnar. For now, though, all fans can do is speculate as to whether Lesnar will align with Reigns, turn on him, or walk a path entirely on his own if he returns at Survivor Series War Games at all. With the show just days away, fans won't have to wait much longer. And what do you make of a possible Brock Lesnar return at Survivor Series? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Some fans have speculated that Lesnar could be back in time for WrestleMania 41, as WWE wants its top stars to be a part of the two-night spectacle next April in Los Angeles. WrestleMania has always been tied to celebrity culture, dating right back to the first show in 1985, and WWE could be set to host a major celebrity segment next year. Earlier this month, 60 million households tuned in to watch Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson, a match Paul won, and now WWE is eager to get in on the buzz. That's according to Wrestle Votes, who reports that there is interest in WWE to have a segment with Tyson and Logan Paul at WrestleMania 41. A segment would be a huge deal, but given the commercial success of Tyson vs. Jake Paul, a match with Logan could also prove to be lucrative for Triple H's creative team. Tyson is no stranger to WWE, as he played a role at WrestleMania 14 and has made appearances on Raw, while Logan continues to impress fans with his work in the ring. Of course, these are early days, and there's a lot of steps WWE will have to take to make this match a reality, but would you like to see this match? Let us know in the comments. We've got some McMahon family drama now, as CNN reported this week that the President-elect Donald Trump has chosen Linda McMahon as the nominee for the Secretary of Education. After this announcement, Beth Reinhardt and Abba Batari of the Washington Post shared a detailed report revealing that Linda and Vince are currently separated. That was confirmed by Linda's attorney, Laura Bravetti, and the two former WWE owners first tied the knot in 1966 when Linda was 17 and Vince was 21. The two have two children, Shane and Stephanie, who are both married and have 6 grandchildren, and this news comes at a pivotal time for both Vince and Linda. While Linda is set to take on an important political role, Vince is dealing with the Janelle Grant lawsuit, and both have been listed as part of the recently launched Ring Boy scandal lawsuit. Regardless, many fans are hardly surprised that the pair have separated and feel it might be for the best for both parties, given everything that's been disclosed in recent years. Did you ever expect Vince and Linda McMahon to separate? Please share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. Over to AEW Dynamite, as it was announced that Bobby Lashley would make his in-ring debut for the company, but shortly after he arrived to the arena, Lashley was assaulted by Swerve Strickland. Swerve sought revenge for the attacks the Hurt Syndicate has given him, and despite this attack, Lashley would dominate his 2-on-1 handicap match against Cheeseburger and Joey Keys. Post-match, the New Flavors music played, and Prince Nana distracted Shelton Benjamin and MVP with a steel chair from the entrance tunnel. Strickland was able to sneak in and knock out Lashley with a steel chain-wrapped fist, and also knocked MVP and Benjamin off the apron before delivering a house call and Swerve stomp to the Almighty. Though the Hurt Syndicate quickly regrouped, Swerve left the ring in time and taunted his rivals from the crowd, as the advantage went to Swerve Strickland on this night. Interestingly, Strickland had shown an X-ray in the days before Dynamite, suggesting he was injured, but this appears to have been a distraction tactic by the former AEW World Champion. Their Full Gear match seems to be one both men must win, the best kind of match, and it remains to be seen if Strickland can flatten Lashley at Full Gear this Saturday. With an AEW win under his belt, Bobby Lashley is ready to take the company by storm mere months after his time with WWE came to an end. Speaking on the Lame Guys podcast, Lashley talked about his WWE plans before leaving and said that while he had positive reactions to his AEW debut, some fans weren't thrilled. Lashley did notice many fans who commented, "Go back to WWE," but said that his exit wasn't his choice, as WWE decided not to renew his contract. WWE didn't renew despite Lashley feeling he has more to give, and he had hoped to stay with WWE for another year or two before retiring from the ring. Lashley's plan with the Street Profits was for either Dawkins or Montez to turn on him, leading to a feud with each of them and eventually both taking him out. The Almighty named both Ford and Dawkins as people he really wanted to work with before retiring, and added Austin Theory and LA Knight, but he didn't get the chance to do these angles. Lashley also explained how his AEW deal came together, and said that one of the big things that helped him to decide to sign was that Tony Khan gave him the freedom to do other things. This means he can take on another shoot fight, be it in boxing, bare knuckle, or MMA, if he wants, and he also likes having the freedom to pursue personal projects. One such project by Lashley is the recently released Phenom to Legend, in which he plans to use an RV to travel across the US to meet young, talented athletes. Lashley also thought a lot about the Hurt Business and what more they could have done, and spoke about the new version of the group that has formed called the Hurt Syndicate. Sadly, Lashley feels like he didn't get to finish things in WWE the way he wanted, as rather than put over young stars and have good rivalries, he simply vanished from TV earlier this year. Now Lashley is a regular on TV, albeit in AEW, and said he's happy to be teaming with MVP and Shelton Benjamin again, as he believes that their group helps build up other talent. Feuding with them is a real challenge, according to the Almighty, and expect to see plenty more from Lashley in AEW, especially after his WWE run didn't end as he'd hoped. Back to Dynamite, as Adam Cole has been at war with MJF, with Cole turning on MJF at World's End 2023, but now it's MJF who's the heel and Cole who's the face. Alongside Cole, Roderick Strong has shown interest in facing MJF, and while many predicted Cole would earn a match with the scumbag, it was Strong who earned this match. Strong did this by scoring 3 singles wins, and on this week's Dynamite, Cole spoke about how happy he was that his friend would be getting his hands on MJF. Cole was interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly, who warned Cole of MJF's viciousness and appealed to Cole to stop this feud as it may hurt people close to him. Speaking of MJF, the former world champion didn't hold back on Dynamite as he spoke about Strong's traumatic childhood, including Strong's mother shooting his father when he was a kid. MJF attributed Strong's loyalty to Cole to be caused by this childhood trauma, but vowed to hurt Strong in their match at Full Gear to exact his revenge on Cole. Later on in the show, Strong was interviewed by Tony Schiavone and criticized MJF for disrespectfully bringing up his past. Strong vowed to pay MJF back for his own actions and leave him humbled at Full Gear after the tasteless remarks made this week. The comments about Strong's parents weren't just for an angle, as Roderick has been open about his difficult past and indeed watched his mother shoot his father when he was 12. Speaking to Gabe Sapolsky a few years back, Strong emotionally recalled the incident and also spoke of growing up in trailer parks and his mother's issues with substance abuse. Roderick Strong has been able to overcome his past to become a success in wrestling, and what did you make of this segment? How do you want their feud to be booked? Let us know below. In WWE's pandemic era, the Hurt Business was a highlight of TV, but this week MVP shared some shocking claims about the company's initial intentions for the faction. In a now deleted tweet, MVP said that WWE wanted to push the group as a new version of the Nation of Domination and were even ready to bring in Nation alum. He wrote, "There was a moment during the PC era when the old man wanted to turn the Hurt Business into NOD 2.0. He even brought in Mark Henry and Ron Simmons. We fought him on it. Our group was never about race. It was always about our organic friendship and desire to make money doing what we love." The old man MVP is referring to is presumably Vince McMahon, and this confession sparked a heated debate among fans before the tweet vanished from Twitter. Amid the discussion, one fan accused MVP of hypocrisy, saying MVP complains when WWE makes groups based on their race, but he has gone to AEW and done the same. The fan argued it's hypocritical that MVP isn't bringing these issues up about AEW and said that, of course the bad guy is Triple H. MVP responded by saying, "Your idiocy is actually quite impressive. Salute. People who are not there telling the actual people involved about what happened and why is my favorite thing about wrestling Twitter." The Hurt Business refused to let their vision be boxed into a racial narrative, and while the group featured 4 black superstars, the topic of their skin color was never made a topic on TV. MVP's claim only highlights the group's stance on being defined by their talent and teamwork, rather than stereotyping them as black men who would play up racial stereotypes. But what are your thoughts on MVP's comment and his response? Do you think the Hurt Business could have been handled better? Could WWE's idea have worked? Share your thoughts below. The last time Kenny Omega wrestled, it was in December 2023, as a battle with diverticulitis and surgery has kept him out of action ever since. At the recent New Japan Power Struggle event, Omega spoke about hopefully wrestling again at Wrestle Dynasty on July 5th and had a backstage brawl with Gabe Kidd shortly after. This naturally left fans buzzing about the idea of Omega wrestling in just over a month, and when speaking to NJPW 1972, Omega committed to a match. He said, "I've had time to reflect after Power Struggle, and I feel I would regret not being able to make things right. I would hate for this situation to cause a rift between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, so after conversations I've had with President Tanahashi and other executives at NJPW, I've decided that if New Japan requests it, if Gabe requests it, and the fans want it, then I'll wrestle Gabe Kidd as a professional at Wrestle Dynasty January 5th. Of course, any match will hinge on Omega being medically cleared, as the AEW EVP is yet to publicly disclose if he's been cleared to wrestle once more. With that said, all the signs are pointing to Omega vs. Kidd at Wrestle Dynasty in January, and what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. WWE is never afraid to edit from its own content if it feels it's necessary, and now a small but significant change has been made to the October 21st episode of Raw on Peacock. This edit has seen a controversial line from Carlito cut, as in the original airing, Carlito quipped, "I gotta learn Chinese," after Kairi Sane and Io Sky left Adam Pearce's office. This line sparked a backlash as both Sane and Sky are Japanese, with fans criticizing the insensitive remark that many feel played on harmful stereotypes about Asian people. In the Peacock edit, fans now see a close-up of Pierce as Damage Control walks out, and Carlito enters the frame, with Carlito's hair visible but his dialogue omitted. This segment resumes with Pierce asking Carlito what he wants, avoiding the line altogether, which was reportedly not scripted according to WWE sources. One staff member was described as being in disbelief that the line was said, given that it wasn't planned, and this isn't the first time there's been controversy like this. In NXT, one audience member infamously told Sky to go back to China, despite the fact she's Japanese, showing the ignorance of the fan in question. There's not been any word on heat on Carlito or any disciplinary measures, but Peacock's removal of his line shows WWE is taking this line from the Judgment Day star seriously. For 2 years, CM Punk was a part of AEW and he faced many wrestlers during that run, but recently, Punk didn't hold back when addressing his run working for Tony Khan. Punk said that he wasted some matches he had on certain people in AEW, a comment that has split fans, with some praising his blunt honesty, while others called Punk out as bitter. One name that entered the discourse is QT Marshall, after a fan commented that there's no way Punk wanted to face Marshall during the November 24th, 2021 edition of Dynamite. That match took place in Chicago, and in his response, Marshall said Punk literally asked Tony Khan for the match, believing Marshall wouldn't go into business for himself in Punk's hometown. It's unclear which matches specifically Punk is talking about, but it's seemingly not his bout with Marshall, and the best in the world continues to be a source of controversy for AEW. Whoever Punk is referring to, he's now part of WWE and has worked with Drew McIntyre in a much-acclaimed feud, and Punk is ready for another top star. Speaking to Peter Rosenberg at ComplexCon, Punk spoke about possibly working with Roman Reigns and saying it's gonna be a moment when he and Reigns come face-to-face on TV. Clearly, Punk is eager for a feud with Reigns, and should a showdown happen, it certainly won't be a waste like some of Punk's angles in AEW seemingly were. But what do you think of his comment? Is Punk just being honest about his AEW run, or is he trying to stir up trouble even now that he's left AEW? Give your thoughts down in the comments. Back to Dynamite as Will Ospreay failed to gain momentum ahead of Full Gear, as he was part of an 8-man tag team match this week. On the previous Dynamite, Powerhouse Hobbs returned to TV after a lengthy absence and had been medically cleared for a few weeks following a knee injury. He was revealed as Ricochet's mystery partner to take on the Don Callis family, and after an amazing tag team match, chaos broke out between the two teams. Will Ospreay also returned after being out for a significant amount of time, and he'll face his former friend turned bitter rival Kyle Fletcher at Full Gear. On this week's Dynamite, Ospreay, Hobbs, Ricochet, and Mark Davis faced the Don Callis family in the opener, and the action began before the 8 men entered the ring. Lance Archer sought to re-injure Hobbs' surgically repaired knee as he wrapped his leg, while Brian Cage grabbed Ospreay and sent him crashing into the stairs and on to Hobbs' knee. The ringside staff checked on Hobbs, who was limping as he was helped to the back, leaving his allies in a handicap situation as they were down a man. Hobbs made his return moments later, but he was clearly banged up, and in the end, it was the Callis family who won, with Konosuke Takeshita pinning Mark Davis. This was hardly the result Ospreay wanted, as Fletcher has the momentum, and it'll be interesting to see how things go down at Full Gear. Kris Statlander battled Hikaru Shida in a match that was booked during a backstage segment on Collision, and Kris looked to build momentum ahead of her TBS title match at Full Gear. Statlander scored the clean win, but Mercedes Moné and Camille came out on the stage so the CEO could talk some trash, and Moné tried to send an injured Camille into the ring to fight Stat. Camille looked hesitant but went in and took a swing, but Stat and Shida easily took her out, and Statlander was able to counter when Moné tried to hit the backstabber. Statlander was standing tall on Dynamite, but whether she stands tall at Full Gear is another matter, as she is looking to regain the TBS title. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Darby Allin on Dynamite with a lariat, and it was interesting that Castagnoli got the win without any interference from his Death Riders allies. A video played of Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic holding Jack Perry hostage, and they left him tied up by himself. Up next, Chris Jericho refused to sign the contract for his match until his legal team looked it over, but Tomohiro Ishii followed in what may have been wrestling's slowest chase ever. It was hard to call it a chase as there was no running, as Jericho was just walking while Ishii followed closely behind, avoiding everything and everyone Jericho tried to put in his way. When they got in the ring, Ishii handed him a pen to sign, but Brian Keith and Big Bill attacked Ishii from behind before the Japanese star could also ink the paperwork. The rest of the conglomeration made the save so the segment could end with Ishii signing on the dotted line, making their ROH World title match official. Having the segment begin backstage and slowly move into the arena was odd, and is bound to be seen as funny by some and dumb by others, as your mileage may vary. Dynamite's main event saw former friends battle as Orange Cassidy took on his old protege Wheeler Yuta, who is now a part of the Death Riders. Although Yuta is a heel and therefore willing to break the rules, this match started with a good exchange of technical wrestling, though it wasn't long before they increased the intensity. Yuta hit a brainbuster onto the barricade, and for the next few minutes, Cassidy was on the defensive and was fighting an uphill battle against the more aggressive Yuta. Yuta looked more dangerous as a result, while Cassidy was the valiant babyface who wouldn't quit, and both of these guys are talented wrestlers who know each other incredibly well. This wasn't just the best story of the night, but the best match of the night, so it was the perfect choice for the main event, and every little nuance helped get the story over. Yuta ultimately grew frustrated and tried to use a chair, but Cassidy dodged it and rolled him up for the pin, and a post-match stare-down was interrupted when Pac kicked Cassidy. The Death Riders arrived to continue the attack, and they duct-taped Cassidy's hands into his pockets before taking turns hitting him until the conglomeration came out. They were able to drive Moxley and his crew away and cut Cassidy free, and the show ended with OC standing tall to prove he was hurting, but not a beaten man. Since returning following All In, Jon Moxley has been on a mission to take over AEW, but behind the scenes, Moxley has a separate mission to elevate AEW stars and reshape the company's future. This week, Moxley spoke to TV Insider and shared his thoughts on AEW's current state and how his in-ring character isn't too far removed from his personal mission. He said, "It's very real. I've never been much of a putting on an act kind of wrestler. Everything is always informed by where I'm at in real life outside the ring." For Moxley, there's no room to waste time with building AEW's future, as he added, "At this point, when it comes to my career in life, I just have no time for shit anymore. I don't have to beat around the bush." While Moxley's on-screen character is at odds with the majority of those on AEW TV, the world champion shared that his real-life sentiments are shared by many on the roster. I'm not necessarily alone in my thoughts and feelings. My feelings and motivations are quite ubiquitous throughout AEW. I'm just the one verbalizing it and getting to move it into action, though I can't do it by myself. Moxley is the leader of the Death Riders, which also includes Marina Shafir, Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, with the latter 3 stars also holding the AEW Trios titles. But what do you think of Moxley's thoughts on AEW's future? Is his leadership exactly what AEW needs, or does AEW need a different direction? Let us know your thoughts down below. Recently, Tony Khan said that this month will be a November to Remember with a graphic highlighting the term, which caught many fans off guard. After all, November to Remember was the name of an ECW pay-per-view, and with WWE acquiring ECW in 2001, many fans questioned how Khan was able to use this term. During a Q&A on Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp explained that while WWE had acquired the intellectual property rights, they had allowed the trademark on the term to lapse. The term had not been used by WWE for over a decade, which likely contributed to the promotion allowing it to lapse, and at this point, WWE has limited options to retain control. November to Remember was an annual event for ECW from 1993 to 2000, and starting in 1997 was broadcast as one of the Extreme Promotions' premier pay-per-views. Now Khan has the chance to use the term as he sees fit, but what do you make of this? Should WWE have tried to keep the term? Share your thoughts in the comments. And we're ending with Adam Copeland, who worked as Edge for decades in WWE, and while he's now a part of AEW, the sports entertainment juggernaut hasn't forgotten about the rated R superstar. WWE has filed a trademark for the Edge name, specifically for the use in wrestling exhibitions and performances, and could this be the start of the return of Edge? Time will tell.